People a few seconds to join in. All right, we are live. Welcome in. Joined here on the left.
Welcome.
On the left, you see myself, Jern, and on the right, you see my good friend Fontana here, coming at you live, ready to do our first ever, I think, NECF podcast. This is something I've wanted to do for a good long while, but we're finally getting it off the ground and running here. Fontana, thanks for joining me, man.
Thanks for having me. It's nice to kind of be doing one of these again.
Absolutely. Did we do one of... No, I think we have done one of these. Was it during the NFL era?
We did a season review. That's the only thing I remember us doing.
Yeah.
Nothing in a preview.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. But we put a lot of time into this preview, though. We were trying to get it done before the actual season started, but, working things got in the way. But we're back now, and we plan to run through it all. If you are joining us right now, it is going to be somewhat of a long podcast. We are going to go through Season 1 playoffs to start. We're going to announce some award winners from this last season, Season 1, and then we're going to start previewing teams for Season 2. And we have done a little bit too much of research on a lot of these teams, every team in the NECF, which I think is up to 30 now. I think with Q leaving, it's down to 30. But we've previewed them all, and we've got some takes about who's going to be good, who's going to be bad, and who's going to be in between. So can't wait to get started on that.
For a good little show.
Absolutely. So I want to jump in and just talk about kind of the state of the union, the state of the league. I thought we had a really good Season 1. The pace was phenomenal. It was almost too fast until we got to the off season, and we heard a lot of groans about the pace of the off season. So we'll look into addressing that if that's something we want to look into. But I thought the Season 1 went pretty well in terms of content, in terms of user buy-in and engagement, and moving quickly as we like to do.
Yeah, I like the. I just always think of FitHawk whenever we are doing any scheduling, and I feel like I didn't really have to think of him during Season 1.
It's true.
Like
yeah.
Noted
lack of Hancock gifts in the game channels, which was nice to see. Or what was the one he used to do? Was it Kevin Hart? I can't remember.
Kevin Hart.
Yeah, it was a Kevin Hart one. Well, hopefully FitHawk's out there doing well somewhere. God knows what he's doing. He's not playing the NECF though. He did pop into one of my streams one time when I was playing a different league when I was losing, and he said go whatever the other team was, which is unsurprising to me. But never change, Fit. Anyway, so let's get into it. I want to talk about, first we have an announcement. I know we announced it in the game chat, but we're just going to announce it on the podcast, which was my original plan, but we had to delay the podcast a week. VFL is joining us as a 5th commissioner in the conference commissioner team. He's been around forever. He's helped us a lot with scheduling, and he's going to be an invaluable tool as we move forward. So just want to formally recognize him and appreciate him for his efforts and congratulate him on being added as a 5th member of the Goon Squad, as they call it.
Do they call it that?
Some people do. I mean, I certainly have a time or two. So, yeah, that's about it. In terms of playoffs, last year it was some Fontana would say it was Mickey Mouse, and I don't want to call it Mickey Mouse because technically I did play in it.
To disagree.
Yeah, some would call it Mickey Mouse. I wouldn't, because I thought we had a very competitive playoff. We even had seeds that were all the way down at 12 make it to the championship game. So I thought it was highly competitive. I thought we had a good playoff. And we got a first-time winner, which was surprising to see, but maybe not surprising depending on who you are.
No, I like that. It kind of showed the full range that we have in the league, and, be as it may, I mean, we still had 12 really good teams going through the whole playoffs, and it was fun to see first time winner, Mr. Walrus Grande, however you want to say it.
I like to believe it's Grande, but he's not Hispanic in any sense of the word, I don't think, but maybe it is Grande. I'm trying to pull up the history here. Oh, they don't show the brackets, do they? That's okay. Here, let me flip over here to our live screen. We're coming at you live. We're also broadcasting on System 2, so we're going to be coming at you guys with stats and roster images. So when we're going to talk about players, they're on these guys' rosters. We're actually going to show them and peek through those rosters live on the screen as well. So it'll be kind of interesting in that respect. First round of playoffs though last year, we started off. We had a 12v5 matchup, Stanford and Nashville. Nashville kind of ran away with that one to no one's surprise. It was a bit surprising that BD was the 12 seed, but he barely snuck into the playoffs. Snuck, whatever, the term. Snuck into the playoffs after losing his... I guess he won his conference championship game, did he not? I believe he did.
Yeah.
That's why he was the 12.
That's why he got in.
I'm assuming that's correct, but I could be very, very wrong. Well, we can actually check that. No, he did not win his he didn't even make the conference championship game. So he got in on a lucky 12 seed and then rode it all the way to the playoffs.
Oh, that's right. It was Kansas State and Kansas.
Right, right. So he beat Stanford in the first round. You also had Maryland v. UCF, which was a close game, but Captain obviously won that one. And then you had Cal versus Los Angeles in a three-peat matchup because they had actually played twice, once during the regular season, once during the conference championship, and split those games. Cal actually won the Pac-12 last year, beating LA by a sizable margin in the conference championship game, and then LA got the last laugh in the playoffs with that 7-point win, where it was actually funny. Jack, if you know Jack loves to dive around the goal line and do his super dive. If you've ever played Jack, you probably have seen it, where he tries to launch from like the 5-yard line, MJ style, to go over the goal line. And he tried to do that, and he fumbled as he was going in for the tying score, like a minute left, and that's how he lost to LA in that first round game. And then you had Virginia Tech and Illinois in a close defensive battle, 27-17 in the first round. Surprises there, not really. I thought every game pretty much went pretty chalk. I know Stanford was the 5 and Nashville was the 12, but I kind of expected BD to win that one. Stanford's roster was not very good. And then in the quarterfinal, you had a big matchup, a big upset actually in the quarterfinal between Nashville and Iowa. Iowa was able to, go not undefeated, but run through his conference pretty easily and pick up the 4 seed. But facing Nashville, he got shut down. I don't know what it was, but I guess Nashville's defensive line went crazy or something like that. And he was able to handily beat the Iowa Hawkeyes 44-27 I think that was the first time those guys have ever played too. So it was interesting to see.
Yes, we've never seen a matchup between Jay Battis.
Is it Bat? Does he go by Bats? Does he go by Battis? Does he go by J Bats? Who knows? Maybe he can clarify. The next matchup, it was Valhalla v. Maryland. Yours truly facing off against the Terrapins and Captain Swaggins, which that is how you say it because he's told us before. That game was crazy. I went down 28-0 very early, and then it became 28-28, and then 35-28 him, and then 35-35 all. And then we went into overtime, and I kicked the ball. I can't remember the sequence, but I eventually stopped him to a field goal, and all I had to drive down and I stopped him to nothing. I turned him over or something like that. All I had to do was kick a field goal to win, and as I'm driving in to get the winning touchdown or get closer to a field goal, I fumble on a questionable fumble.
Kneel it down.
Yeah. That running back, safe to say, has not taken a single carry for me this season. So Cap won that one 38-35. Los Angeles versus Louisville. This one was not close. It was a blowout, 39-13. Reptar one and done after a 11-1 regular season and a conference championship. LA is just really good. And then the last matchup was Kansas State versus Virginia Tech, and then Tony doubled up VT, or nearly doubled up VT, 52-28, with some solid defense against Tay in the 2v10 matchup. So then in your quarterfinal, you had Nashville versus Maryland, Los Angeles versus Kansas State. Nashville versus Maryland wasn't necessarily close. It was a multiple score game. And then LA was able to defeat Tony by 3. I'm not really sure what happened in that game. I don't think I watched it. But it seems like it was a close game. And a lot of points being given up by Kansas State, which is surprising because his defense last year was amazing. And then finally, everybody knows what happens in the championship. You had Nashville versus LA, a battle of team builders. And then Nashville seemingly jumped off to a hot start. They went up, I think it was 17, 18 points multiple times before eventually giving it all back. I think at one point, BD was up 18 in the second half and then threw a pick and then threw another pick and had a chance to come back and win it and then threw another pick again near the end. And then LA was able to pick up a bunch of first downs and close it out. Remember that there was that pick. I remember now it was that pick play where the tight end was running a wheel, and there was a post on the inside. And it should have been bagged up, but the wheel rubbed the cornerback off. Pause. And he was able to get wide open for the first down on like a 3rd and 19 or something like that, and that's effectively how the game ended. But
yes, it was a really good game. Really good comeback from Walrus. If no one's checked out Mr. Spider and Mr. Cannonball's recap of that, it's fantastic.
Yeah, that was nice to see.
Him.
Yeah, it was nice to see Spider and Cannonball pop back up for the first time in a couple of years. They haven't done any college games from what I know, so it was cool to see them back. Except if you're BD, I'm sure he was not happy. So yeah, first-time champion, Walrus Grande. I think he's been close before. I think he might have made a championship game before. I think he played Geo in one of them and lost it. So it was nice to see a first-time champion. He looks to be in a good spot to contend for the repeat too. So picking UCLA definitely worked out for the team that looks a lot like the Bombers. Mom said, you said, can we get some Bombers? And Mom said we had Bombers at home. And these are the Bombers at home, but apparently they're really good too. So if you want to win an NECF championship, have a team with a plane as your logo. That's my advice to you. All right, awards. So end of season 1, as voted by the members. I don't think I have the results to pull up, but the votes were submitted, duly elected in our democratic system by the users here. And we have some announcements to reveal. So, what was the first one? Defensive rookie?
Yes, and I have the percentages that I can read out at least.
Oh, perfect. Let's do that.
Yes, Offensive Freshman of the Year was our first award. We had Jaron Kiewa Sagapulitele. Hope that's how you say it, from Cal. Zamir Smith from Maryland. Gekko Baker from TCU and DeBron Gatling from Valhalla is our nominees.
And the winner was Zamir Smith from Maryland. What was the percentage on the vote? I don't think it was particularly close.
He had 68% of the vote.
Gotcha.
It was not particularly close.
I got to tell you, I played him in the playoffs, and that running back was a freak. As a true freshman, I don't know why EA decided that Maryland was the school that had the best freshman running back since Adrian Peterson, but apparently they did because that guy ran all over me for multiple touchdowns. So congrats to Coach Cap, Captain Swaggins, and Zamir Smith, who I think is redshirting this year, actually.
It's a good call.
Yeah, I mean, if as long as he's not 87 overall, If he's below that, redshirt him, try to get some more eligibility, spend the points wisely, and hopefully he stays for a fourth year. But what I found is that redshirting.
Hopefully not.
Well, depending on your perspective, sure. Hopefully he stays for captain's sake for a fourth year. Depending on, with this new system with the manual progression, it's really hard to get players to stay for that fourth year, though, if they're any good. If they have star dev, you can get them above the threshold to get drafted within 3 years if you want to. So it's going to be interesting to see how people kind of play that out and strategize over how exactly to progress their players as they move forward.
Yeah, I find it really difficult to, in upgrading players, is avoiding some of those high overall hits or increases, especially with your older juniors. If you're wanting them to maybe stay below the threshold of keeping for a fourth year.
Right. Yeah, it's certainly going to be tough, and there's going to be players that leave after 3 years that you don't think should leave. They're going to be 86, 87, and they're going to be like, oh, third round pick, why not? Or seventh round pick even, and not choose to come back. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of works this year, because I feel like the players definitely leave earlier this year than they did in 25. It's harder to keep those draft pick guys around, and it's a lot easier to make them draft pick eligible. So we'll see how it plays out in terms of recruiting. Who do we have for Defensive Rookie of the Year as candidates?
So coming out of Iowa is Derek Weiskopf. From, again, Maryland is Carlton Smith. These are both Sam linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
As a will linebacker, as Tavion Wallace out of U of the Bayou.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike linebacker Evan Bennett from Capital University.
Gotcha. And the winner is Derek Weiskopf of Iowa. This was not a surprising pick to me. I think he had something like 10 interceptions and over 113 tackles, something ridiculous like that.
Yep.
I wrote MLB on this graphic here, but he's obviously just like a user Mike for J Bats, and he was incredible all over the field. J Bats obviously has a great user, and Weiskopf certainly fit the bill. I think for most of the season, he led the season in terms of interceptions from Mike's. So this is a well-deserved award, and I'm sure he's making plays again this year in year 11.
Yep. As a freshman, leading in that, or nearly leading in that category is super impressive, and I'm sure he'll be around for a little bit.
Absolutely. I don't think he's too high overall either, so he could get that fourth year if Battis plays smart. All right. Offensive Player of the Year. Who do we got?
Offensive Player of the Year is a little bit closer. So we've got a sophomore running back out of Louisville, Isaac Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Redshirted sophomore running back out of Iowa is Moulton. Redshirted junior from LA Air, wide receiver Titus Nokayo Atimalala. And,
I'll trust you on the spelling.
Kansas State University's junior running back Dylan Edwards.
Gotcha. And the winner, Isaac Brown, true sophomore. This guy is a freak, and I don't know why he's so good in his second year, but he is. In terms of running backs you could start with, I don't think maybe Dylan Edwards might be a little better last year because he was a upperclassman, but Isaac Brown was by far and away one of the probably top 3 running backs that you could start with in terms of available teams in the NECF. And he played like it too. He was hard to shut down, especially in the pass game. You know how Reptar likes to use his running backs in the pass game. He's a player to be reckoned with. Unless he's playing the Columbia Basin University Magi, who like to shut him down. But we won't talk about that because this is season 1. This is season 1 or season 10 award, season 1 award, however you want to say it. And Isaac Brown is certainly deserving. I think he had something like 18 touchdowns rushing, 1,600 yards. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I remember they were very, very, very good.
Yeah, nearly 1,600 yards, 9 touchdowns in the air as well.
Absolutely. All right, defensive player of the year. Who we got?
Coming back, we've got Derek Weiskopf again making this list as a freshman. Is impressive enough on its own. Mike linebacker Kyle Efford out of Valhalla. We've got our first lineman is Nigelic, oh man, Kelly from UCF, and strong safety VJ Payne out of Kansas State University.
Gotcha. And the winner is Kyle Efford. Kyle Efford from Valhalla. This dude was amazing. He actually did lead the league in interceptions at 11. He was a freak for me, especially late. He had a lot of interceptions late. So happy to see that. What was the percentage on the vote?
41% for Kyle Efford, and Derek Weiskopf at 27%, BJ Payne with 22%. So it was a little bit of a closer vote.
Yeah, definitely. I personally thought Weiskopf was going to win this just because his tackle numbers were a lot higher. But I think Efford had more of the extra stats like forced fumbles, touchdowns, that type of thing, and one more interception. So, I forgot to ask, what was the vote on the offensive player?
I was just thinking about that. Isaac Brown with a 50% vote, winning vote, and Titus with 36 was the next closest.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit of a two-horse race, but
yeah,
Isaac Brown brought it out.
Yeah, I think Titus something like 23 touchdowns and 1,700 yards, and still transferred from UCLA because of play style, which is certainly a question to raise with EA. I guess that's a little weird, but yeah, he had a great season in that pass-heavy attack. And then finally, Heisman.
For Heisman, we had Nico Iamaleava from LA Air. Only coming in here only as a sophomore redshirt. Senior redshirt quarterback Haynes King from Valhalla University. Sophomore running back Isaac Brown makes his appearance on here again.
Mm-hmm.
And Titus out of LA Air also makes an appearance on here again.
Right. And the winner, crown him, Mr. King. Haynes King, quarterback, Valhalla. I didn't think he was going to win this award. I thought Nico's touchdown numbers were too high. But Haynes, I used him on the goal line so much that he ended up with 17 touchdowns rushing to go along with 41 passing. So I guess that was the difference maker. He had almost as many rushing touchdowns as Isaac Brown did, and at quarterback, plus all the passing, which was super efficient. So, thanks everybody.
I do think that might have been what kind of edged it over the line for voters to want to go for him. But it was very close for a while.
Yeah.
Very back and forth. Isaac Brown in there with a couple of votes, but for the most part, going very back and forth between Haynes King and Nico.
What was the final percentage?
22% for Brown, 31% for Nico, and 45% for Haynes.
Close.
King.
Close. All right, those are your Season 1 Honors Award winners. Thanks for everybody for voting. I think we had something like 20 plus people vote, which was good to see. We've had less than that before, so
22 responses.
22 is good, so that's very, very good. All right, let's get into the previews. So basically what we did was we just went through the rosters of every team, and for each conference we're going to talk about who won last year, who's returning, and what the rosters look like, and kind of give some predictions about who we think are going to come away with the conference titles. And I think we should start in the ACC just because it's alphabetical, unless you have any other ideas.
No, I mean, that works out.
Great. So, ACC, you have Nashville, you have the Bayou, you have Kansas State, you have Kansas, you've got Pittsburgh, and then you got Oklahoma State. I'm showing this conference standings now from the current year, just to kind of give a sense of who's in this. You have Balding Diabetic in Nashville. You've got Dre Day 1 at the Bayou, which is, or Nashville's in real life Vanderbilt. Bayou is in real life Arkansas. Kansas State, of course, is T-Jeff. Kansas is Geo. Pittsburgh is Bomsky, and then Oklahoma State is Kubi. So, last year, it's a close game in the championship game. I think Geo almost pulled it out, but he did lose to Kansas State and T-Jeff, who went 13-0 to win his conference, which is certainly a remarkable achievement. So you had T-Jeff 1, Geo 2, and then Balding, Dabomsky, Kubi, and then the Bayou down there at 6. One thing I want to note about this conference is that every single user had at least a 500 record in the regular season, which is the only conference that can say that.
Very impressive.
Yeah, I think if I were to vote on best conference at this stage, which obviously it's very early, this one would get my vote because just the level of competence down the line from teams 1 through 6 is super, super impressive. But in terms of,
if you,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Most of the matchups, most of the matchups just, could go one way or the other. Obviously some favorites for some matchups, but all 6 teams having at least 3 conference wins.
Absolutely, yeah, and that just goes to show that there's not a kind of a run over team in the conference. There's no freebies in terms of user games. Very cool to see. Let's get into it. We're going to start, basically the format that we're going to go through these teams is kind of the results from last year. So we're just going to go, down the line 1 through 6 based upon their finish from last season. So we're going to start with Kansas State. And obviously Kansas State, one of the best teams in terms of rosters returning, largely, and I think the overalls in this game are largely driven by your quarterback. Because I've noticed some teams with really good quarterbacks but not really great rosters have a decently high overall. In Kansas State, I would slightly think is one of those, but he does have a lot of pieces to work with, especially on defense. So the main thing for him, he returns Avery Johnson. And if you've ever played T-Jeff with Avery Johnson, he is slippery, he is fast, he is hard to deal with. So that convincing him to come back at 91 overall for his senior season was a big win in and of itself. So he's going to do good things with him this season.
Yeah, any quick dual threat quarterbacks this year is starting to see any usage out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if given the changes some of the abilities. But we're all the same versus last year.
Absolutely.
But they're good.
Now, so that's the good thing that I have to say about this offense. And then after that, they've lost a lot because Dylan Edwards. If you watched any stream of Tony last year, you know that his offense was give the ball to Dylan Edwards and then pray, and that's what he did. And a lot of the time it worked, but he can't do that anymore because his running backs now are cheeks. This guy's, okay. Cheeks, they're not cheeks. This kid, Cameron Knox, is okay. But they're not Dylan Edwards. And you don't have Shifty in this running back lineup. So it's a big step down in terms of the offense that Tony wants to run, especially compared to his offense last year.
For sure.
And then...
this is my first time looking. Noticing how Cameron is spelled.
Oh. Yeah, that's a choice. That's a choice.
Great choice for running back.
Yeah, Cam Run. In terms of pass catchers, also not a lot to like on this team. Jace Brown's okay. Joseph Williams is, obviously the number one option here, but even his abilities aren't great. 94-96 is good, though. Tony likes to run these posts on the outside. He has, the left side and right side receivers run post, and this guy's going to be good for that. But other than that, the wide receiver room to me is just kind of unimpressive. And then, except for the tight end, because this guy, Luke Haas, from Penn State, I think, this guy is one of the best tight ends in the league by far. So in terms of, who you have to focus on in the pass game against Kansas State, this is the guy to key in on.
For sure. And I feel like a small concern, you only got 5 wide receivers.
Yeah, right. In terms of depth, right.
So, people went down. Might not be a good lookout or outlook.
Yep.
if there's any injuries this season.
I do wonder, Cure is fast, and then this guy, Star, is somebody that Tony was talking up on Twitter. I wonder if he makes it into the lineup too, either as a tight end or as a receiver at some point, just because he doesn't have dynamic pass catchers. But I don't think this offense is incredible. I don't think it really has the horses this year, except for Avery and the tight end. So we'll see what happens. The offensive line is weak. Only 2 players above 80, or 3 players above 80 overall. So not the best offensive line that I've seen. On the defensive side, he made a lot of improvements on the recruiting trail for this defense, particularly in the back end. His defensive line isn't great. He's got a defensive tackle that's pretty good in terms of overall. But really, the star of the show here is his linebackers, including Harold Perkins. I played against Tony in week 2 this year, and holy crap, Harold Perkins covered so much ground with 92 and 97 in terms of his speed excel. Probably the best user in the league in terms of user players you could have. And then, what else? T-Lander is from Tennessee. And then he's got some other solid options at linebacker. And then at corner, he's got this crazy 98 guy, and this several other guys that are 94 speed and above. I think this corner group is going to do exactly what Tony wants to do. He plays a lot of match coverage. He plays a lot of keep it in front of you and react. Tony obviously knows how to play defense, and this is the exact type of defender that he needs in his defensive back, especially considering his safeties, where he has KJ Bolden, who was able to steal from me in the transfer portal at 94-97, and then Benefield at 89-92, but 87 overall. Probably, I would say this is one of the better secondaries in the NECF.
Quick group for sure. Good abilities on most of them as well.
Yeah. But my takeaway here, I don't see a lot of pass rush from this group. I don't think he's going to have. I think he's going to be primarily relying on coverage sacks, which could happen. They do happen. You'll load into some games in this game where it seems like the defensive line, no matter how good they are, is going to instant shed and get some pressure. But if that doesn't happen, I think this defense could struggle, just from a upfront standpoint and from a pass rush standpoint. But certainly Tony has enough here to compete. I mean, he competed for and won the title last year. With the roster that he had, his team got better. So, as long as he doesn't get shanked in a favela this week, I think he has a good chance of getting back to the conference title game and going deep into the playoffs. Hopefully he's back home in the States. I'm assuming.
Go back.
Yeah. Team number 2, Kansas. All right, let's have a come to Jesus meeting with Gio. Brother, Jalen Daniels is not on this roster anymore, which is going to be tough because his entire offense last year was Jalen Daniels. He brought in this Brendan Sorsby kid, who's the new starter, and he's quick, but he's not Jalen Daniels quick. So I think he's going to have some problems here on the offense in terms of quarterback running the scheme that he wants to run, because even going back to 25. We know Coach Gio, he wants to run the ball with the quarterback. He wants to get you in 5 wide. He wants to spread you out. He wants to hit you on those 3rd and 2 runs. He wants to get the pocket moving. So we'll see how he does with Mr. Sorsby here. One other thing. He has this really quick guy who has a kind of weak arm. I can foresee if he struggles with Sorsby, that he goes and he starts Marshall or pulls Sorsby to put Marshall in for certain packages or something like that, and could try to be closer to the scheme fit that Gio wants to run.
A little bit more speed for kind of what he likes to do more than pocket pass or build like Sorsby.
Right. In terms of running back, pretty good. Abu Sama 3 is back again. He is very, very quick. I would like to see him have a little bit better than Bron Shifty, but I'm certain he's going to be just fine, and a competent backup here too. And then this guy Bryson Hayes last year, who was on the short list for Offensive Rookie of the Year, but didn't quite make it. He's got 97 speed and probably will be throwing a lot of deep passes again. We know, again, Gio likes to stretch the field with those deep routes. And then he also has Nitro Tuggle, which is just the best name in the NECF, in my opinion. He also has a good tight end. His name is Norfleet. 83-87 is just fine. I've noticed a lot of tight ends just don't get fast in this league or in this game. So 83-87 is pretty quick, especially when your Excel is high. You know, you're going to get open on those types of like in-breaking or out-breaking routes. And then his O-line is just kind of average. Which is fine if you have Jalen Daniels, but it's not fine if you don't. In terms of defense, Gio gave up the second most points in the conference last year. So that's going to be a place where he needs to improve if he wants to actually, win a conference championship this year. Last year he gave up, 368 points, which is, again, or 388 points, the second most in the conference, despite making the conference championship game. So, in terms of what he added on defense, he got a really good defensive tackle in, what's his name? Marcus Steele from TCU. I believe that's where he comes from. And he has, Grip Breaker is a really good ability in my opinion, and then he has both of the Pocket Disruptor and Inside Disruptor abilities. He's a little slow, but a good player for sure. It looks like he's going to come back for a senior year. Pass rushers don't really give you much hope, but in terms of linebackers, really good, really good in Scooby Williams in terms of a user. 85-92 is really solid at Mike with a bunch of run-stopping abilities. So, and then cornerback, I don't think this group is great. They're really old. You got to recruit some corners, but they'll be okay. And then safety, he got this guy from OSU that's like really good. Gaffney has 86 overall, 93 speed, 95 excel. Gio loves to user the safeties. He likes to drop them down. I can't remember the name. Maybe Yates was the guy that he used at Cal last year. So I could see Gaffney being kind of his drop down hook zone user in the middle to go along with Scooby. And then he's starting a freshman or a sophomore in the back end. That's not very good. You have overall thoughts on Gio's roster this year?
Definitely a small step down, especially with the quarterback situation.
Yeah.
Obviously not his play style.
Mm-hmm.
Defense could be a little bit better. But we've got a couple of the key players that can use or may help out.
Right.
But overall, might be a little step back.
I agree. I think he's going to struggle more offensively this year, and I don't think his defense made enough improvements to really overcome. I can see him making it back to the conference championship this year, but it's going to be tough to do with considering who else is in this conference because it's a pretty good conference.
Uphill battle, especially some of the way some of these other teams have improved.
Absolutely, especially the next team, Nashville. Holy crap! If you want to crap your pants and get scared, just look at the Nashville roster. This is, in my opinion, this is the best roster in the league. He killed it in the transfer portal. He finished top 3 in recruiting for a reason, and it wasn't because of in-season recruiting. Quarterback, Pavia's gone, but he has, the Duke quarterback transfer in Mensa coming back, and he also has another option in Reed. Because why not? Why not have a second one? Both of these guys are perfectly fine. Mensa has pocket passer archetype, but is super fast. So best of both worlds. In terms of running back, another transfer, and this is going to be something I'm going to say over and over. Fluff Bothwell is one of the best running backs in the league. 91-93 with gold shifty, gold head first, and then silver abilities and all the others. This guy is a tank. RIP to Mississippi State and Joe Log for losing this guy. But he said in Discord, what did he say? He said, Fluff deserves a good offensive line. And I think he found one in Nashville. Pass catchers, again, stop me if you've heard this before, but great transfers in Greathouse, Bussy, and Mbakwe. Those are the three that I would start. It looks like he's redshirting wide receiver 1 from last year, Junior Sherrill. But Mbakwe comes from Bama with 98 speed. Bussy, I think, is Texas Tech or Houston, one of the two. And then Greathouse is from Notre Dame. But these guys are all speed demons. Good luck. Tight end, Kenyon Sadiq from Oregon. Again, beast, 84, 88, 91 overall. Another transfer starting. Left tackle, 89 overall. Another transfer starting. Left guard, Freeling. Another transfer starting, 89 overall. Lalalu, 93 overall. Another transfer starting. I think 4 of the 5 guys starting on the O-line, which has everyone, after boosts over 85 overall, at least. 4 of the 5 are transferred in. So this entire offense has just been completely revamped with talent. It's a little less fearing. It's a little less fearful on the defensive side, except for the defensive line. He brought in this Hubbard guy, and then Colin Simmons obviously is a freak. Brought in from Texas, top 5 pass rusher in the league. Purple quick jump, silver pocket disruptor, purple duress. That's exactly what you want. He's going to be a first round pick. And then this Terrence Green guy is pretty good with the gold pocket disruptor. So I think this is going to be one of the best pass rushes in the league. Finally, on the back end, this is where it gets a little bit less concerning because he really didn't bring in much talent along the the linebacker group or the DB group. All 3 of these starters are just kind of not super impressive. And then the cornerbacks, height is pretty good, 94, 96, 90 overall. But, after that is pretty average. He's redshirting the 5-star freshman that he got from Alabama in the regular recruiting cycle. But his safeties are pretty good with this 96 speed guy and this 92 speed guy, Fontanet. But in terms of outlook, I mean, I don't know how you look at this roster and think he's not just going to be super successful with it.
Yeah, it's a ridiculously high roster for this early on in the cycle, but the transfer portal has kind of enabled that, and obviously a lot of players want to come into the team this year, build off of the national championship appearance, and get them back to that spot, and they have a lot of ability to do that this year.
Right. The big question will be whether or not he can play defense this year, because obviously he gave up 45 in the Natty. His MO has always kind of been score a lot of points, get a bunch of fast players, and run you to death. This roster certainly is good enough for BD to win. He's won with less before. So. All right. Let's talk about a roster that's not too good. Pittsburgh. Now, I heard rumors swirling that Coach Cletus has cleaned up his act, and he's gotten off the sauce, and he's refocused for Season 2. Now, it would be really good if Coach Cletus had some players, but he doesn't, which he'll tell you about. In terms of this roster, there's not a lot. Eli Holston returns at quarterback. His running back group is depleted because he lost Desmond Reed, which was one of the quickest, most scat back guys I've ever seen in my life. He was special last year, but he's gone. So I think they're going to run a committee this year with these 3 guys that are all kind of not him is how I'll define that. Wide receiver. Hopefully he actually utilizes Che this year because he really didn't throw to him last year, but he should. This year I think he improved his route running a lot. So, this is obviously wide receiver 1 with silver takeoff and 98 speed. And he's got some good, decent options on the back with this Zion guy and Brand as well. Tight end is average. Offensive line is average. Do you see anything here you like?
Small, maybe bright spot is your left tackle being a sophomore. Starting left tackle, sophomore, room improved, but for this year,
Sure.
It's gonna be hard to work with.
Sure. Yeah, it's gonna be tough to compete with this one. Like, Dubomsky is a good user. He can win on any given Sunday if he has an even team. He doesn't have one. His recruiting last year did not work out. So the offense itself, not very good. On defense, it's kind of the same story. It was funny. I think Rasheem Biles was in the transfer portal, which is his best player at Sam linebacker. In the transfer portal and decided to go back to Pitt, I think. I might be wrong on that, but I've seen it happen in other leagues too. But he's going to need to lead a squad of hungry 3-stars, I'll tell you, because there's not much else. There's one linebacker in Bonsu that's pretty fast, despite like an average overall. But he doesn't have pass rushers. Doesn't have corners. His safeties are not particularly fast or high overall. This Anderson guy is kind of fast, but he's 74 overall as a junior with one bronze ability. So I think he's going to have his work cut out for him if he's going to compete for a conference championship in this conference, especially against these rosters that we looked at in Kansas State and Nashville.
For sure. Like you said, he's a talented user, but got a lot to work with.
Yeah.
So if he can make do with what he has, then
when in doubt,
that makes his ability looking better.
When in doubt, just throw a vertical to Che. It's easy. Just throw it up. Why not? No one's gonna say anything. All right, next team. Bayou. Let me find this one because I think they put it at the bottom. Yeah, there it is. Bayou is one of the fastest teams in this freaking league. I couldn't believe how fast this team is. Starting with the quarterback, and I watched the Bayou's game last night against Louisville, and this guy looks like he's a freaking ant on the screen. He's so tiny, but quarterback starts with Kevin Jennings, the transfer in from SMU. He was the guy who led SMU to the playoffs last year in real life. Obviously didn't last year in the NECF because they didn't make the playoffs as a CPU, but he was floating around the idea of starting this true freshman 5-star Antoine Swaim, and if he did that, he's just an idiot because Kevin Jennings is exactly what you want in a quarterback, especially one that runs like a high-paced 5-wide type offense that Dre likes to run. Do you see any reason that you should start Swaim?
No, I mean, you've got, like I said, Jennings. He's a senior, but 90 speed, 90 cell, or 94 cell.
Yeah,
you're not getting that out of Swaim.
Great caps, though, I will say, in terms of accuracy, throw power. Maybe not quickness, but it's hard to build that up, especially at impact dev. You would have liked to see him be a little bit higher on the dev, but it is what it is. Halfback. I like this group. They've got a 90 overall receiving back, but that's not the best one. The best guy is this guy, Braylon Russell, at 84 overall because he has gold shifty, gold armbar, and a couple other downhill abilities. I would start this guy, but I don't know. I don't know who is starting, but it's a solid group. But the star of the show on this offense are these two receivers because this is just ridiculous. The fact that you have guys out here with like 89 speed corners having to guard these two is ridiculous. And if you weren't impressed with Jalen Brown at 98-96 and then Jordan Anthony at 99-99, your third wide receiver is this Crutchfield guy at 95-95. All three of these guys are returning from last year, and all three are very, very solid options. So in terms of pass game, you can't ask for a much better lineup than this.
Yeah, we're to add Platinum, Sidestep, and Platinum, especially Platinum Takeoff.
Yeah, Platinum Takeoff is insane for Anthony.
There.
Yeah, and that's smart. See, that's the thing. Dre could have put his points onto route running or catching or something like that to get his overall up to get drafted, but I think he just went for Takeoff because he wants to win.
Takeoff.
So I mean, I don't blame him. I would have done the same thing. Purple Takeoff, purple Sidestep, silver shifty. That guy is probably the best receiver in the league this year, in my opinion. And then tight end, he has a dude. He's not that great, but I mean, he's 6'5". He's got a couple silver abilities, so he's serviceable. The problem, though, is that if you have fast wide receivers, you have two options. You can throw screens in order to get the ball in their hands and hope they can break something, or you can throw deep shots. in order to throw deep shots, you have to have an offensive line, and Dre does not have one. 80, 76, 80, 79, 78. Not great. So if he can somehow scheme up some blocking, he could do some damage, but that's going to be tough for him against some of the defensive lines that we've seen in this conference.
Yeah, it's like I said, if you want to go to throw deep, you need line that can provide you time to do that.
In terms of defense, nothing really outstanding here. Rhodes is pretty solid with gold pocket disruptor at 85 overall. Defensive tackle at 84 overall with silver pocket disruptor, but I don't see a lot on this defense that I like, except for this Mike linebacker, Tavion Wallace, who returns really, really fast, 93, 92. Again, I think this is a situation where he put his points into speed. I could be wrong, but that seems really fast for a Mike, so... good tool to work with. And then Torian York is a good linebacker as well, 84-90 for speed excel and 92 overall. He probably should get drafted in at least the second round next year. At cornerback, again, speed, 94-96 and 93-97, and then high overalls from Singletary and Bridges. But very thin at this position. Not a lot of depth. 5 guys on the roster. Coates is pretty good, though. I think he was a 5-star. No, he's a 4-star.
That sounds right.
And then the safeties are kind of average. So I think Dre's always solid. He can make mistakes sometimes. I would not call him a top half defensive user in terms of just kind of his scheme year to year. He gave up the most points in the conference last year, which I found that surprising when I saw that. But he does return a lot of talent, and if he can keep the offense humming and limit turnovers, I think he could potentially be a dark horse for the conference championship game.
Definitely, the speed's gonna help him out for sure.
Yeah,
good potential.
Absolutely. And then Okie State. Okie State's Team 6 in this conference. Let me tell you, Ted Lasso is the coach of this team. He made a name for himself for taking over a ragtag bunch of bad players, overcoming the odds, and achieving on-field success. And I gotta tell you, Coach Lasso, you're gonna have to do it again, because this is a ragtag bunch, if I've ever seen one, from every position on down. Quarterback, you'd like to see Hodge progress. I think he put a bunch of points into accuracies this year, and he's still not that accurate, and his overall didn't go up, so good luck. He's going to have to throw short, and he's pretty good at that, but I'm assuming he's still starting Haas just because he's faster, but who knows. Running back, McGowan is decent, but he's a receiving back, and those aren't always the best. Not particularly fast. Good COD, though. And then wide receiver, he does have this Jalen Lloyd, who is the star of the show. I think he got him to come back for his senior year, obviously, because he's only 81 overall. I think he was threatening to transfer, and he decided not to, which was nice for playing style. And then Shetron is pretty good at 94-94. But tight end is just a guy. He should be starting this freshman, 86-87, with Ray East. That's who I would start. But he's only normal dev. And then the offensive line leaves a lot to be desired. I'll just say that. Only one above 80. Defensively, Duhan's pretty good in terms of pass rushing. But that's basically it. On the line. And then linebacker, his best one is this young guy who's a true sophomore, 80 overall. Not great. He doesn't have... At the time of writing my recap, he does not have a single linebacker or cornerback above 80 overall, which seems not great. It's still true. So, who knows? Eric Fletcher is kind of a nice piece at 95-94, but again, if this team finishes higher than last in the conference, it would be an amazing accomplishment by Coach Lasso. I'll just say it that way.
He doesn't have a lot to work with. Like you said, it's got to do what Coach Lasso is kind of built to do. But be very, very tall to climb.
All right, prediction time. I think Dark Horse. I think the Bayou, if they can get their offensive woes figured out, or their defensive woes figured out and keep that offense rolling, I think they could definitely compete. But I'm not picking them to win. They did have a nice out-of-conference win over Louisville recently, but they do have work to do. I have my runner-up as Kansas State in terms of my predictions, but I have your winner. I can't pick a roster other than this Nashville roster. It's just too good.
Yeah.
Simmons and the offensive line, all those receivers and the tight end and the quarterback, it's going to be too much to overcome, in my opinion. But who knows? That's why you play the games. Do you have any other thoughts on the ACC?
No, I mean, I think it's done on. For sure between Kansas State and Nashville, but I think Nashville just got that much better of an offense and that much better roster rather.
Right. My one concern is that Nashville is now too fast, and he won't be able to make reads fast enough because his players will run into the next defender too fast. That's my concern for his offense, which is a good concern to have.
Right.
All right. Big 12. I'm going to start with last year's winner, Louisville. He actually had a really great season, 11-1. One of the best offenses in the league at 508 points scored, behind, obviously, Isaac Brown, who was the star of the show. Second in the league was J.L. Smith at Illinois, who I think there was a big tie at 5-2 in the conference, and it wasn't clear who was going to get in, and it was actually Illinois that benefited at 8-4, made it into the championship game over J. Ray in Kentucky and VFL and TCU at 5-2. But in terms of what Louisville comes back this year, Dante Moore from Oregon, apparently a great player in real life too, because they killed Oklahoma State in real life last night. But he's a very, very solid transfer in. Isaac is still there, and I'm sure he'll be run into the ground. There's this guy who's not actually a real person, Jason Ball, who starts on OSU's roster, Ohio State, that he got transferred in, who he should give carries to as kind of like a, hey, Isaac Brown, let's not give you 25 carries a game, but we'll see if he actually does it, because he didn't do it last year when he had whatever that other backup was. And then wide receiver leaves a little bit to be desired. High overalls, but they're slow. This Hughes guy looks to be okay. Tight end is he has a high overall slow guy and then some lower overall fast guys. So he always you know how Reptar is. He's gonna throw the drags to the tight ends. So these guys will be just fine, I'm assuming. And then, just like most people in this league, offensive line is cheeks. If you can't open holes for Isaac Brown, it's going to be a problem. You played Louisville already this season, didn't you? Or no, it was Syracuse. It was Syracuse.
That's why I didn't get the reference you said, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. No, it was Sparrow that did that. Yeah, it was Sparrow that shut him down.
Yeah.
Isaac Brown got shut down for not a lot against the Wendigos. So.
Wendigos.
Is it Digos or Digos? I've been saying Digos in my mind. Who knows?
I think it depends where you're from.
it's an acquired dialect for sure. He got this really good defensive guy, Anthony Smith, transferring in from NSU, actually, the Wendigos or the Wendigos, depending on where you're from. Gold Pocket Disruptor. He also got this Clev Lubin guy returning with Gold Quick Jump, so he's got a really good defensive line in terms of pass rushing on the edges. He has bad linebackers except for one guy, this Stanquan Clark guy, who's pretty fast, high overall, good abilities, but true freshman starting elsewhere. And then one good corner. This guy, Elijah Davis, is from Utah, but you see, it's not a very fast group. And then the safeties are, high overall, but not the quickest. This Farrell guy is going to be pretty good, though, in terms of he's got ball hawk, house call, knockout, and robber. Very, very, very good abilities for the cover specialist guy. Do you foresee Reptar going 11-1 again?
If I had to guess, based on the 1-2 record, no.
That was a trick question.
But but had it been before the season started, I still also kind of would have thought no. Kind of touched on the offensive line. Open up the holes.
Yeah.
For Isaac Brown, then it may not work out. And spoiler to the NSU game, we kind of saw that happen.
Right. I think he did have a bounce back. I think he had a bounce back, against Mississippi State, where he ran for a lot. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Obviously, Reptar is not having the same level of success this year at 1-2 so far. I don't foresee him having the same level of success with that O-line and with those wide receivers because they're not that talented. But then again, I mean, his offense has never really been about stretching the field and having elite route runners. It's kind of pretty conservative and simple. So maybe he can make it work and he can turn it around. He's done it before. So who knows? Yeah. He has Isaac Brown. That's all you need. Illinois. Illinois is a new user, JL Smith, who's joining the league for the first time this cycle. He got this really good 8-4 season last year. 8-5 you count the conference championship game, which I don't. But he has Lincoln Kleinholz in from OSU, and I thought it was interesting. He's deciding to start him over Ashton Daniels, and I'm not too sure why. And I think it's because Kleinholz is from South Dakota, like he is. I think he told me that. But Daniels looks like the better option to me, but Kleinholz is the guy this year, but he's not off to a hot start at 0-2. Halfback, he brought in Cam Edwards, but this Valentine guy should obviously be the starter at 94-95. And then wide receiver is decently talented, but again, a slow group. Slow wide receivers is going to be kind of a theme from some people in this conference. Good news, though. One of the best O-lines in the conference. 87, 85, 91, 85, 88. That is... Come get you some. Needs to pound the rock, in my opinion, with that offensive line, because not a lot of defensive lines are built to take on that type of level. Assuming Fontana, in College Football 25, that they actually block, which is a big ask sometimes.
It's a very big ask. There.
Defensively, I'm not amazed. They have big physical defensive linemen. 6'5", 6'6", 6'3", fat guy, but they're really slow. So again, they're going to be playing that Big Ten football in the trenches. But they're really, I don't foresee them getting after the passer that much. Same for the linebackers. He has this decent option in Golden, but he's redshirting him. But other than that, they're all slow. Cornerback, high speed is 92. I mean, Bone's good. I mean, he's certainly is going to break on the ball and he's going to be able to stop some things. But I don't get the sense that this is going to be an elite defensive team, but it's going to be solid, which is kind of how Illinois is in real life.
Yeah, the lack of speed, especially on the defensive lines, maybe will kind of kill it for Illinois this year.
Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. With a good coaching job, though, I think he can. I think he can get back to the conference championship game. But this is a tough conference. You have obviously the conference winner Louisville off to a slow start, but you also have Kentucky and TCU, which are perennially in the conversation for playoffs in the NECF. So Kentucky is the next team, I think. J. Ray. I think they're the next team. I hope they're the next team.
They are.
Good. So Demon Williams is a quarterback. He transferred in. You should have pretty good familiarity with this quarterback, do you not?
I do. But higher overall this year than it was last year. Obviously, a year out of experience, but
right.
Pretty quick. Good quarterback.
Yep. Yep. Kind of a weaker arm, 89 overall. You'd like to see that be over 90, 91, but it is what it is. He's a running guy. I think there was a quarterback controversy. I think he starting the true freshman. Oh, he did. Wow. Okay, so Heggy's in. Demon got pulled. Not much of a demon after all, but I mean, I don't see much that Heggy provides. I mean, how are his caps? I'm assuming they're going to be pretty good at impact, but they're okay. Accuracy is good, which is what you want. So, he has room to grow. But in terms of if you want to win now at 0-2, I'd play this guy. But running back, Marshall's really good. I would start him. A good 1-2 with Wilcox and Marshall. And then receiver, he got this really fast guy, Antwi, but not very high overall. I'm assuming these guys don't run very good routes. It's a completely new group. J-Ray said on Twitter one time last week, he's like, I've done less with more, and he turned somebody into some elite, like Cooper Kupp style player. So who knows? I'm sure he'll be able to do something with him. But other than that, he got this really good transfer at left tackle in Wagner, who was like the pride and joy along the offensive line of sought after recruits. So he'll certainly be very talented this year. But the rest of the offensive line is not good, all below 80. And then on defense, I'm trying to think of things. Front seven is average until you get to Sammy Brown. Where is he at? Yeah, Clemson transfer. This guy's a freak. 93 overall, elite dev, junior, or 88 overall. Hopefully, I'm hoping this guy goes to the draft after this year, because 88's right on the cusp. But he is a freak. I got him to transfer to SMU last cycle for a season, and he was great. And then cornerback is really good. This is one of my favorite corner groups with Nichols and Jarrell White, 97, 95, 94, 97. But they're not super high overall, but in terms of speed and COD and abilities for Nichols at least is kind of what you want. And then finally the defense, Khalil Barnes and Isaac Smith. One is from I think Barnes is from Clemson, and then Smith is from Mississippi State. RIP again, Joe Luck. I'm sorry. These guys are both really good, and are probably one of the best safety duos that we'll see in the league, besides like Kansas State, who has a really good one too, with KJ Golden and the other guy. So overall, I think this team's a bit more talented than it was last year, where J-Ray had success, but not ultimate success. He didn't make the playoff, even though he went 9-3. But he could get back. I mean, I know he's 0-2, but he's 0-0 in the conference. That's a nice thing about current records, is that everybody has a clean slate. So win your conference at 0-0, you're right back in it.
Right. I definitely gonna push for the conference championship in the title, the Big 12 title this year.
I think so too. Generally how J-Ray played, I think coverage sacks are kind of his MO. So he has the roster to do that. Kind of like Tony. We talked about Tony earlier, Kansas State. Coverage sacks. It's kind of how you want to play it. I think J-Ray's the same way, and I do expect him to compete for the Big 12 title this year, even if he is 0-2. And if you're going to lose, we've learned last year, lose early. Don't lose late. So early losses you can recover from. Next team on the roster, or on the conference roster, TCU. Let's see. They've got the furry guy. Was this a joke? Like, do you remember? Did you see this thing about him being a furry? Like, he likes to dress up as like an animal and pretend to be an animal. Did you see this tweet?
In real life?
Yeah. No, in the NECF. Yes, in real life. Yeah, in real life. It was like Josh Everett. Yeah, look it up. I think it was a troll though. I think it was fake. But I'm gonna call him. I'm gonna say it was real, just to get under VFL's skin. He's starting a furry at quarterback. He's pretty good. I mean, he's 90 overall. He's kind of slow, which I think is a problem for VFL and how VFL runs offenses. I can foresee this Hill guy maybe getting a chance in some pack. Well, no, he's got 83 speed. Just kidding. He needs to recruit a fast quarterback because this Countess guy sucks too. He's normal dev, and I think he has bad caps. Oh, well, his caps are fine. Wow. Well, that's good for a normal dev. But he won't get many coins to upgrade. So recruit a fast quarterback VFL. This Hoover guy is not going to be it for you long term. Running back though. Ooh, look at this guy. 96, 97 purple shifty. That'll do. That'll do. One of the best running backs in the league. And then receiver group, this is the best unit on his team. Yeah, probably the best receiver group in the entire NECF is this TCU roster with Hudson, who transfers in, I believe, from Texas Tech. And then you still have Gecko Baker, who we heard earlier today as a shortlist for the Offensive Rookie of the Year last year with lots of speed. And then, of course, noted NECF GOAT, but not very good player otherwise, Major Everhart at 98, 97. Those are your three starters likely this team, and it's one of the best receiver groups in the NECF. And then Pimpton, which is a great name, is tight end 1 and is really good as well.
Yeah, VFL's all about speed, and he's got that early on here. He
does. Even going back to his Miami days, all about speed. Left tackle, left guard, center, and right guard, I think, are all transfers in. 4 of the 5 starters are transfers in this line. 3 of them are really, really good. So the left side of the line is looking really nice. Should be an okay unit overall. And then I think he has like 1 pass rusher that's really good. Yeah, this Woodford kid has 2 really good pass rushing abilities. And then the linebackers, you have this Hoffman guy. That's really good. Really good. It's true freshman, which is ridiculous. Like I wish I need one of these guys. Was he an VFL? I'm sure you're watching. Tell me if this was an athlete, because I need to go after these types of players. And then this Gullett guy, who I think played. Was he a transfer? No, Mississippi State. Oh my God, poor Joe Log, man. He just got destroyed in terms of all his best players. I mean, I guess he's not really good overall wise, but I guess VFL just spent all the points in the abilities section. So, cornerback, not great. Safety is really good with this guy, 95, 97. Not the best overall, but he's fast. And then he's got this Yates kid, who I think is I think he was a Cal transfer because I think he was on Cal last year in real life, but 96, 97. So very, very fast safeties. Two good, drop down hook zone user options there for VFL. And he likes to do that. So in terms of this roster, I've seen VFL do better with worse rosters and worse with better rosters. So he's 2-1. I could definitely see him, competing for the conference title and definitely, making some noise in the playoffs, as long as he can figure out how to play football in the fourth quarter.
Has a small issue with closing out games, but good user in general.
Yeah, no, I agree. We're asking to turn the drums down, which is kind of disappointing. I worked hard on those, but I get you. Turning the drums down. Yeah, so this roster is obviously pretty good. Just as long as he can figure out how to run an offense with a slow quarterback, he'll be fine. St. Val's. This is IRL Baylor, and I will say this team is good but not great. Weigman and White are the 2 quarterback options here. I think Weigman's getting the starts, which he should, in my opinion. Oh, he might not be, apparently, according to the stats. He might have gone back to White. He might have played all 3 of them. No, that's weird. It says he only has 2 games played between the 2 of them, but he's played 3 games. So I guess he just ran the Wildcat for an entire game. Oh no, here we go. Yeah, he did go back to White. Walker White was a starter last year. He was okay, and he got Weigman in as a transfer from Houston. You'll probably see both of these guys switch out. White has a huge arm, but he's not as high overall. It's not as accurate. So Other than that, though, this running back here, Skaggs, says gold sidestep, but no shifty. You'd really like to see the running back have shifty at that type of speed and that COD. He should be eligible for it, so I'm surprised he didn't spend points there, but who knows? Maybe he's capped on COD. I didn't check. And then wide receiver, revamped totally from transfers. No one's really elite, but the high overall, so good route running. The thing I've noticed about St. Val's and Coach AK, he is very smart playing the short game. He takes what's there. He doesn't try to throw a million interceptions. He's very conservative. So I think these wide receivers kind of fit his scheme. So I liked his team in that respect. Then he has really good tight ends, and he likes to utilize the tight ends. This Olesh kid from, I believe, Penn State probably should be starting, but even this Oakley guy who was at Kansas State last year is also really good. And then the O-line, again, is not particularly good. On defense, he struggled to generate pass rush. He had not a lot of sacks last year from the stat review, and I don't see a lot of pass rushers on here again. And it looks like he's redshirting a bunch of guys that could potentially, develop into being a good pass rusher. He recruited well, obviously. He's Baylor in Texas. But for this year, in terms of pass rush, I don't see a lot here. But I will tell you, anybody who follows Bud Elliott on Twitter knows that this guy loves linebackers. AK recruits him some linebackers. And this linebacker group is pretty good. This Keaton Thomas guy is really good at 85, 88. And then he has a bunch of freshmen that are going to get in the mix. This Evans guy, 90, 88. And then a bunch of other freshmen that are going to be in the mix. He's redshirting some, but they recruited something like 5 linebackers as true freshmen. Where's this Christmas guy at? There he is. Elite Dev. That's freaking awesome. He's going to become a beast.
Elite Dev, nearly uncapped.
Yeah, nearly uncapped. Yeah, uncapped in quickness, which is what you want out of your linebackers and pass coverage. So this guy's going to be an elite user for many a year to come. Wanted to call him out. I like to call out the elite devs that I find, and I don't really pay too much attention to it while I'm doing this, so I probably should pay attention more. But again, at cornerback, he's again redshirting an elite dev freshman. And that tells me all I need to know about what he thinks about this roster, because if he thought he had the talent to compete this year, he would be starting those guys. Defensive line, linebacker, and corner. He's redshirting really good and elite talented guys. So, Coach AK, smart, sound, schematic football. He took me to the wire last year, season 1. We had a 3-point game. But he went 5-7 last season, and I don't see him doing too much better this year, just based on how he's treating his own roster with the red shirts.
Yeah, I think he's preparing to build off of this year.
I think so too.
But not to say he can't.
Sure. Yeah, not saying he can't.
We're 2-1 now. But like you said, he's patient, builds up the play. He doesn't rush things a lot, so he's very solid.
Yeah, I could see him going bowling. He's 2-1 already before conference play. So if he gets an upset win over a team that he probably shouldn't beat, I don't see. That's the thing about this conference. Like, everybody's kind of on par. Like, I don't see anybody being so far ahead that they're going to steamroll anyone. So I don't even want to say somebody he shouldn't beat. But in terms of roster impact, should he beat TCU? No. Just in terms of his corner group, his safety group, his lack of pass rush, I don't think he should beat TCU. But he might. That's why you play the game.
Right.
Arizona is next on the list. He's a new user this year, actually. Coach Pete Swedish, which there is some lore there that I am unaware of, but I'm sure we could get the Kubi clan to tell us all about it. Glad he's here. He picked Arizona before we progressed through the second step of the offseason, where you lose all your players and you see what's returning. And I'm sure if he had picked teams after that stage, he would have picked a team other than Arizona, because they are not that good in terms of the talent they have available to them. Cameron Dyer is a decent quarterback option, though. This is if he has a narrative storyline or something to focus on for next year, it is this kid, because he's star dev, 90 throw power, pretty good speed, He's a pure runner archetype, which I don't like, but I think this is the guy that you have to build around in terms of the current roster makeup, assuming he doesn't bring in somebody new to start next year.
For sure. It's not a solid team, as we'll get into, but like you said, someone like Dyer built around.
Right. And the second thing that jumped out to me, he has this Eason guy who has so far been getting the carries. 88 or 98 Excel is good. 98 COD is good. But if you like, this team isn't going to win anything this year. And this Warren kid, this is the guy that should be starting, in my opinion. Build around this Warren kid. You can't redshirt him. And I don't think he has any carry. Yeah, he has 1 carry for -2 yards in 2 games played this year. This kid needs to get carries, in my opinion. Really solid with 93, 96, and silver shifty already. At wide receiver, again, youth is really good. He's got this Mizell kid who I really like. And then he has Noah Rogers as a transfer from NC State that should come back next year. So, again, not this year, not great, but next year could be a lot better, especially if he recruits some good guys, especially in the transfer portal. But he's going to have to win some games with a so-so roster. Tight end. This Powell kid, I think, has been taking the snaps. 2 games played, 5 catches. But again, look down the roster 1 spot. Kellen Ford, 84 speed, 1 overall less than the senior. Why is this guy not getting the starts? Why does he have 0 catches through 2 games? That's kind of my overall takeaway. Coach Swedish, I don't know your coaching philosophy, but it seems like you're starting the wrong guys. Take a look at the composition. Offensive line's really bad. I'll skip those. The note I have for the defensive line here is sorry in all caps. Not a good group. You're starting 72 overall right edge. You're starting a 70 overall defensive tackle. They have some big bodies. No, they don't. I don't. There's nothing saving this defensive line this year. If you play Arizona, run the ball because they're not good, and they don't rush the passer. So what do you say you do here? This Stacy Bay is Bay. He's really fast. Consider him for a user, but low overall. Grayson Howard's really good though. If I was Arizona, I'd probably redshirt him this year and plan for next year. This is a next year team. Star Dev, 86 overall. He needs some speed boost. And then this Kip Lewis guy, though, I do like this guy a lot. You can't redshirt him, so use him while you have him. 87.92 is really solid for a user with 85 COD. And then this guy is interesting, this Robinson kid, 87.89. I'm sure he'll get in the mix, but maybe redshirt him. I don't know. Oh, he's got playstyle deal breaker. It's a tough one. That sucks. Look out for this guy if you get a bunch of linebacker tackles from your will. So that's all I can say. Playstyle deal breakers are so shitty in this game. I hate playstyle deal breakers. I wish they weren't here. The bright spot on the team are these corners. Like, holy crap! It seems like Arizona got nothing but cornerback recruits in the transfer portal. Stamps, Brown, Gray, and Braxton from LSU, Bama, Notre Dame, and Ole Miss, and then even Shaw, number 5, is a cornerback transfer from Texas A&M. All 5 of these guys are solid. But again, you don't need all 5 of these guys to play this year. Redshirt these juniors. That's what I would do. I would redshirt the juniors. Your backups that you can't redshirt are pretty solid anyway. There's a lot to like here from this unit, but you don't need 7 cornerbacks on the field. So pay attention, Coach Swedish. And then safeties are fine. I think this unit, Bray Hubbard is obviously a bright spot. He's a Bama transfer. Played terrible against Florida State, by the way. Oh, he sucked. Loafing around the field. I'm sure Coach Swedish is going to get more effort out of him. So he's really good. Use him. He's going to obviously go to the draft next year. But other than that, let's have a come to Jesus meeting about what we're doing with, starting these young guys. You're going to have to plan for the future because this Arizona team, 0-2, there's not a lot of talent, in my opinion, other than that DB room. Plan for the future.
Yeah, like you said, cornerbacks, safeties, bright spots in the team, but Gotta start the young guys.
Yeah, I think
Probably
that's
at this point.
yeah. It's very clear that you need to when do you throw in the towel and say you're going to lose the locker room eventually if you have all this young talent and you don't plan to use them and you just keep riding with the old guys. We've seen it happen a bunch of times before in real life where coaches start, their veteran senior players that are going to be going pro in something other than sports instead of starting the young talent and developing them for the next year. You can sell an athletic department on, hey, we're going to start the young guys and plan for the future, but you have to let me, have the future next year. You can sell that. You can't sell, hey, we're going to start the old guys who are going to be gone next year and we're not going to win. Don't do that. So I don't foresee Arizona making a bowl this year. I'll just put it that way.
Do not either.
Speaking of teams that won't make bowls, the last team in the Big 12, Temple. Listen, man, I don't have much to say to Coach Taz in terms of this roster. I'm going to be brutally honest. There's not a single player above 76 overall. I am glad, Taz, that you are a fan of Temple, but this is the second year in a row you picked Temple. It's a one-star program. You're 0-2 after going 1-11 last year. Get a different team, man. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to spend time going through this roster because there is nothing to like. I'll just put it that way. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and continuing getting the same result. This roster is painful, and it's not going to get better on the field. So that's my preview of Temple is pain. Bianco stinks. Your redshirt freshman quarterback is normal dev. You have this guy's fine, but he's 80 throw power. I'm not. Yeah. Any other thoughts?
No, not really.
I hate to be honest, but my gosh, man, there's normals for days. I got nothing. So they won't be very good.
It's just hard to do anything with a team that's like this, and unless you're recruiting well enough to improve it, then it's just going to be.
Yeah, but that's the thing about Temple is you can't recruit to Temple to improve it. Especially when teams are picking other 3.5-star programs, and you're picking at the time 1.5-star Temple, and it's now down to 1-star. So, they're gonna finish. They're gonna finish last in the conference again. But in terms of my predictions, though, I had my dark horse is Illinois, and I know that they shouldn't be a dark horse because they actually made the conference championship game last year and lost a decently close game. But they are my dark horse because I think there are two favorites in Kentucky and TCU to make the conference championship game, assuming that Kentucky sticks it out. I think anytime J-Ray and VFL play, it's always close. It's usually close. I think based upon rosters this year, I think TCU would win a close game, which is all. That's a bold prediction, saying that TCU is going to win a close game because we all know their fourth quarter struggles last year. I think they lost 5 games that were one score in the fourth quarter, many of them they were leading. But I think TCU is going to win the conference. That's my bold take.
I'm inclined to agree. Like we talked about with the speed on TCU and the upgrades he's made this year on his roster, given his ability.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lock for me, a lock for the conference championship for sure, and up to Kentucky and Illinois to take that runner-up spot.
Or St. Val's. I'll throw St. Val's in there because they are 2-1, and I do think he can have a bounce back season after 5-7 last year. But again, I think he's planning for next season. So hopefully he's not taking offense to that. All right, that's only 2 out of 5. Shit, we have a lot of conferences. This is taking a while. Sorry about that, guys. I'll try to run through this a little bit faster. Or I can keep going slow. It doesn't matter. I'm not trying to take up Fontana's entire night either. But Big Ten, we're going to start with the Big Ten next. Hawkeyes won the division last year. bit of a Mickey Mouse win though, because he was supposed to play Straw Hats again, but Straw Hats was out of town, so he gave him the force win for the conference championship game. I was really looking forward to seeing them play again. Did they? Was it a sim the first time they played too? I don't remember.
No, they played the. Well, they made it somewhat through the game, if I recall correctly, and they had to send the rest of the game.
Oh, was there a DC or something?
I think.
Yeah,
I think.
I don't really. I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Jake was out during the conference championship game, and it was a force win though. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. But obviously, two of the better users in the league. But it was them in the conference championship game. Straw Hats, runner up in terms of the actual who won it. Maryland obviously made the playoffs too from this conference. Had a very good season, and then you have Sparrow at North Star University. You had Syracuse until he dipped out because TCU's a big fat meanie, and then you have Indiana and Psych in this one as well. So 5 teams this year with the Syracuse exit. Iowa. If you ask Iowa, he'll tell you that his roster is not good. He's very negative about his roster, which I find interesting because I'm not as negative as he is. He brings in this transfer quarterback, Vance of Vance Refrigeration from Nevada. I would say, Bud Elliott tweeted out a graphic earlier this week of the best or the notable transfer quarterbacks this year. And Vance was by far the worst of them. So I think Battis was like, this graphic makes me depressed. And I somewhat agree. Vance is, he's a quarterback. He is a quarterback.
He's a quarterback. It's hard to be a dual threat quarterback with 76 speed.
Yeah, why is he a dual threat quarterback at 76 speed? I don't know. If I'm coaching Iowa, and I wanted to have an Iowa style quarterbacking Iowa, Brandon Vance is perfect for that. He's slow with a big arm and not a lot of awareness about what's going on. Dink and dunk guy, 92 short accuracy. I don't know as much about Battis' offensive play style as I should to tell you if that's going to work or not. But if it were me, if I was coaching Iowa, I'd start this kid, Dotson, 85-89, an actual threat to run with 91 throw power. His accuracies aren't as good, but I don't think he's trying to push the ball downfield too much. I think Battis plays a very conservative style of offense. He makes smart plays situationally, and I'm not putting too much trust in Mr. Vance here. He's obviously, he's off to a great season. 8-1 on the touchdown interception, but 8 yards per attempt. That's about what I expected. If you're going to run that style of offense, give the guy that can escape something. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
On the halfback side, I like this room a lot. Obviously Moulton was very good last year. And then this Dahl kid, out of nowhere with 95-98 sitting on the bench. Wait, is he getting carries? He is getting carried. Good. 16 carries for 44 yards, 2.8 average and 1 touchdown, which isn't great. Off to a slow start, but keep giving him carries. He can break them eventually with Silver Shifty. It'll be interesting to me. Obviously, this wide receiver room is very trash. The tight end is not good. And the offensive line takes a big step back this year. They still have this kid, this Jagusa guy. I'm probably murdering that name. Very, very good. But the rest of the offensive line is like nothing to write home about. But they're solid, but they're not opening the run holes like they were last year. I remember I was watching some game where Iowa was running like an I-form set. Jay Battis was running like an I-form set. And he called this play where his right guard, his center, and his left tackle like all pulled, and they all had like crazy abilities. The second level ability, and I think a bunch of them had quick step, and they just pulled faster than my defensive backs. Like they ran like they were wide receiver, like Tyreek Hill out there. He doesn't have that this year, so it'll be interesting to see if his offense is as good. Because last year his offense was the best offense in the league, like in terms of points scored. Well, no, second best. I scored more. By 10 points. But he was very, very good. By far the best one in the conference. I think he's going to take a step back on offense this year. Although, I mean, he's still putting up points. He killed whoever he played. I saw he put up like 55 on somebody. But I don't think the offense is going to be as good this year. On defense,
small
though,
setback, but
yeah, a small setback. But he's a scheme guy. Like he's a lot like me in terms of how he runs his offense. He's going to play conservative. He's going to play smart.
He runs what he wants to run.
He runs what he wants to run, despite whoever is on his team. So I think he's still going to execute his scheme fine, and he's going to play the fuck out of some defense. He is a great defensive user. I think he had the second least points scored against him last year of all users, right behind Kansas State and the actual defensive NFL player. So he knows how to play defense, and the defense looks really good this year. Pass rushers that are big. This Burnham kid is good. This Lightfoot kid is really good. I really like him. 84-92 with gold quick jump, silver pocket disruptor. And then this Brown kid, who also very, very good. Like this defensive line is one of the best in the league, and they're going to be really, really good. And then linebacker, of course, you have. I think this is a transfer in out of Oregon. This 202, out of Oregon. He's really good. And then, of course, you have Trotter, who returns, who's really good. And then Weiskopf down here, who is the D-Roy, is really good. And then you have Arian Carter transferring in from Tennessee. Like, I will say this is probably the best linebacker core in the entire league. So, I told Battis in the Discord earlier this week, I said, if I was going to describe an Iowa football team in real life, this team is like an Iowa football team. Strong in the trenches, strong up front in the front seven, great linebackers, but not a lot of wide receiver quarterback talent. And then the DBs are so slow. The DBs are terrible. Just from every level, too. The cornerbacks, the safeties, they're all just so slow. But I think, again, Battis will play, keep it in front of you, smart defensive football. He's going to run the ball. He's going to throw short, quick passes based upon what look you're in. And he's going to make a deep run to the college football playoff this year, despite his quick exit last year. Do you disagree?
Sorry. No. I do agree. I think one of the better users in the league, with only one season of experience to show that. I mean, kind of already proved that versus some of the top guys we've already got.
Right.
And for sure, a deep playoff run, I think, is the great outlook for him.
It's what's expected. Just based upon who he is. I will say the schedule gets tough. I think he already played Cal and beat him this week, or maybe it was last week. No, wait, I'm looking at the wrong season. Hold on, I've done this like so many times. I don't know why I can't have it open. He just beat Nashville, which is an impressive win, I believe. And then he plays Kansas, and obviously he has bouts at Straw Hat and at Maryland, which will be a big test for him later in the year. But I don't see him losing 3 games again this year, like he did last year to start off. He started off very slow and, found his groove.
Right. He started off strong this year, so I think he'll keep going and finish strong.
One team in the Big Ten that has not started off strong is Straw Hat. And that's, his main competition. Because this roster is not very good, and he had a very tough opening schedule. But it gets easier. It gets much easier for Straw Hat going forward in terms of who he plays, except for that Iowa game. But this roster is not great. But that's the thing about Jake, is he doesn't need a great roster to be great. I just played him, and I should have lost, even though my roster is a lot better than his, because he just plays smart offensive football, especially with this freaking quarterback. I can't believe this kid went to freaking Straw Hat, man. Tavion St. Clair he will be the best quarterback in the league next season. 93, 92 on the speed, 95 throw power, and is virtually uncapped with dual threat abilities. Start it. He's going to be great. Other than that, though, I don't see a lot on this roster that I like. Benjamin's, a good option. Strong, this kid destroyed me because he has this press pro ability. I will be recruiting press pros from now until the end of time after playing him. This kid was amazing. And then he has the speedster still with gold takeoff for this year. He's obviously not very good in terms of route running or anything besides being really, really fast. But this Dickey kid, he got this like contested like jump ball thing over me, and it pissed me off. But he's really, really good too. And then tight end, he has a good one. And then his offensive line is kind of crappy, except for this guy Slappy, which is a great name. But yeah, I mean, Jake, he doesn't need players on offense to have a good offense. He's always been that way. And then he brought in this Bush Jr. kid from Cal, who's pretty decent. And then he brought in a cornerback transfer that's really good. Not Masco. Was it Bellamy? Yeah, Bellamy from UCF. So RIP to Wade Nader on losing this guy. And then he's got this fast guy, and obviously Masco returns. But Cash Sanders is a good safety, and then that's it for the group. This team isn't talented, but it won't matter. He's 0-2. He's going to finish, 9-3 at worst. And I'm assuming that 9-3 will make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, Jake is a top end user in the league, no matter what team he has. He's proved that over and over again. So, despite the slow start, again, he's got the ability to keep going, and like you said, probably 9-3 at the worst.
Yeah.
But he'll be in there for the big title, I think.
I think so too. I would struggle to see any other result of him, through conference play, not making it. The conference itself, 5 users, like Maryland's roster is good, and we're going to talk about Maryland next, but I think Straw Hat is, the clear number 2 favorite in this conference this year. And just in terms of, historically, if I want to pick a user to make his conference championship game, Jake is in the top 3 of that list. Not, roster notwithstanding. But I will say Maryland's is really good. Some would say this is like the 3rd or 4th best roster in the league this year. And I don't necessarily disagree. Because Maryland is another team that I played this year already, and I probably should have lost to him too. I was down by double digits in the 4th quarter and was able to come back and steal one. But this quarterback's really good. Barnett, who comes in from James Madison, who apparently had like a really good quarterback this year. A lot better than the quarterback he had last year. 89-93 with 91 throw power and a bunch of abilities. I don't know what else you want. And then I was surprised at running back because, Zamir Smith, who was the offensive rookie in the year last year, I was expecting him. And the first carry that I had in our week 1 game, he ran a play where his running back broke like 4 tackles. Like, not this fucking guy again. Like, I was so upset. Like, I was just like, oh, it's going to be the same thing. But he's redshirting Zamir Smith and starting this Petaway guy who transfers in from James Madison again. Wait, there's no way his quarterback and his running back. Did James Madison have the best offensive in the country last year? I guess, because this Petaway guy was really good. His abilities aren't as good as I thought they were, but, he's a good running back. And then at receiver, they're not great, but this Webb guy's okay. This is kind of like a mediocre wide receiver core for Cap's purposes, because we know how Cap plays. He likes to chuck the ball, or at least he did before this cycle. I think he's been running more this year. I think he told me that whenever he was getting started. But, his wide receiver core will be okay for what he wants to do. This is the real star. This is the pass catcher. This dude is a dude. This guy destroyed me in the conference championship game last year, or the playoff game last year. I could not guard him. So if you're going to stop Maryland, stop the running back and stop this guy. And then decent offensive line, strong at tackle and left guard, but weak at center and right guard. So, you know, Cap doesn't take sacks. Cap gets the ball out, so I don't really think he needs a strong offensive line to do well. Defensively, the edges are crazy good. This is one of the best defensive lines in the league, with Walmack transferring in from Ole Miss. I forgot where. And then, obviously, Dylan Stewart. He was, like, the prize possession. Everybody wanted to get him in the portal. I think he had, like, 8 or 9 users pursuing him in the portal last year. And you can see why he's 98 overall. He is the best player in the league. And then the defensive line has a really good defensive tackle, too. Or decent defensive tackle in Thomas. His pass rush was really good. I could not block him. And then he has a really good user, Mike Linebacker, in Rojas and in Harris. And then his corners are pretty good. Humes is really fast. That's about it. I think there's an outside shot that he makes the conference championship game. I think he could beat Jake. I don't know if he can beat Iowa with this team. But maybe.
I think it's a big ask. Just coming up against either of those two users.
Yeah.
In general. But he's got a lot of weapons to make it work. He could certainly be in the mix for the Big Ten title game.
I think so. I mean, he had a bigger point differential than Jake did last year, which is surprising. Like, Cap's a very good player. He plays the game a lot. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he wants to do. He just has to stay focused. Like, he told me at the end of our game, he's just like, he can't stay focused for 4 quarters and, like, lock in. But I think if he does against Iowa or Jake, he can beat either one of those. I know he's 1-2 right now, but, I mean, conference play, again, has not started. So, season is not over, Cap. I've got you in there as a, an outside shot to beat one of those two. And then who else is in this conference? Oh, North Star. I believe that's their name. NSU, the Wendigos. I will say, there's a little bit of talent on this defense, but they're weak at quarterback. They're starting a freshman. He missed all kind of throws in the Rain Man. Star Dev, so he has a bright future, but he's not that good now. The running backs are very terrible. The wide receivers are also very terrible. The tight end, recurring theme, very terrible. And then other than this left tackle, this Tiernan guy, who's like really good, like not a lot to like here. The offense is not good, and it struggled against me last week, or I guess this week. You're going to have to scheme up something because, you can't get lucky running the ball. Your quarterback can't hit throws, and your offensive line can't hold up. So play some defense. Luckily, the defense is really good. They've got some, fat guys up front that are pretty good. This guy Held is pretty good. But really, it's the back end that I like on this defense with these corners. And then the safety. Like, look at this. 3 safeties, 90 overall or above, including Coy Parrish and Tao Johnson. I had trouble throwing against this defense despite the score. They really locked me up. Sparrow plays good. Keep it in front of your defense, in my opinion. So, keep doing that and try to find some offense, Sparrow, and, try to repeat on a really good season last year.
Very decent. That, like you said, those safeties will help contain a lot that goes on through the air.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that means you've got to do a decent job stopping the run and stopping the short passing game.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta shorten games. You gotta run the ball. You gotta minimize possessions, and you gotta hope people make stupid throws into your safeties. So, and then finally, Indiana. Their quarterback Mendoza transferred because he wanted to play on a championship contending team after he threw 34 interceptions last year. So he went to Ole Miss. So now Indiana has a host of options at quarterback, and unfortunately for Indiana, none of them are good. This Jackson guy, I guess, is the starter, but 89 throw power, 84-87 at 79 overall senior. Not great. If you don't mind not having a fast quarterback, this Montgomery kid doesn't look too bad, but there's not a lot on this roster that's really enticing. This Hageman guy is okay, I guess, for a redshirt freshman, but it won't help you win this year. Decent group of receivers, though. They got this Morris guy and this guy named LeBron, which I thought was funny. And this Caleb Pickett guy looks pretty good, too. But, again, kind of a underwhelming group outside of Morris. And even his abilities aren't great. And then tight end is bad. Left tackle's really good. This Carter Smith guy. I wrote in my notes, the left side of this O-line looks like Van Gogh painting, but from the center to the right tackle, it's a stick figure. Because he has this guy and this left guard that's really good, but then after that, 71, 74, 69. Not great. So, if you're going to rush off the right side against this team. And then a veteran D-line with some big bodies, but, they'll be good against the run, I think, but they're not going to, get after the passer because they're not particularly effective at that. They don't have abilities. And then below average linebackers, this guy's okay, like 84 for the speeds, but not high overall. Corners are very slow and very bad, very thin, and then safeties are very bad. This Stewart guy looks okay for the future, but again, this year, I wouldn't call the Indiana Hoosiers prospects this year very good. So yeah. Any thoughts on Indiana?
Yeah. For sure, a hard team to build off of. But can make some stuff work. On offense, you have to scheme something up.
Right.
Something. It's going to be difficult, but likely going to be playing from behind with the way the defense looks.
Yeah, no, I agree. Especially if you throw picks, because I don't think all the picks were on the CPU quarterback. I think it was a lot of, just chucking it up, hoping something hits. Indiana lost a heartbreaker to open the season, though. He's actually brothers with Pitt, and they had like a very close back and forth game. And I think he lost by like 1 point late against him earlier in the season. So hopefully he can get over that sting and puts together some conference wins. He's going to get an extra CPU win with Syracuse leaving, so that's nice too. So at least 3 wins for Indiana this year. That's my prediction. In terms of the conference, though, I've got the dark horse as Maryland. I do think he can beat Straw Hat with that roster. But I do think that it's going to be your typical Straw Hat versus Iowa Big Ten Conference Championship game again, and I have Iowa winning it this year just because I think his roster is too strong.
Yeah, no disagreeing there. Some of the talent on Straw Hat is gonna, I think, keep them from winning the conference, as you've predicted. And obviously Iowa is a good user, but I think if there's anyone that is gonna be challenged between the two of them, by Maryland is gonna be the Pirates.
Yeah,
I think Iowa's for sure, and especially with the 3-0 start, good enough lock for the conference championship, and kind of between the Pirates and Terrapins to pick who's going to be number 2 in that spot.
Yeah,
but I think it'll be close for sure.
Yeah, I think so. I'm never one to bet against Jake in this league. Just personally, I think he's too good of a user to he can overcome roster disadvantages and win games that he shouldn't. He's proven it time and time again. He usually has a good roster, which usually helps, but especially last season, last cycle, he sacked up and won a championship with a Rutgers team that wasn't that good. I think he can do it again, especially when he has a good quarterback like he did when he did that same thing last year. So Hawkeye's prediction, but watch out for Straw Hat and watch out for Maryland potentially to get in there too. All right, we've gone through 3 out of the 5. I got to be honest, I'm kind of hungry. I did not anticipate being on here this long. So what I think we should do is let's break for the night. I might come back later and finish it up and do the last 2. You're welcome to join if you want to, but we'll break it up and do the Pac-12 and the SEC next. Hopefully, this is enjoyable. I don't know if it is. Feel free. If you're one of the poor souls that are still watching at this point, fast forward or rewind to whatever parts you want to. If you haven't watched a single second of it and you're catching it at the end, rewind or fast forward in the future to whatever team you want. If you want to preview just your conference, that's fine. But we did want to get out like some sort of content to kind of preview these rosters and help guys see what we're seeing in terms of your roster here on these teams. So thanks for joining in, and Fontana, thanks for trucking through this with me. I appreciated the commentary.
Yeah, of course. No, I think a little break would be good.
Yeah.
And pretty good point for that.
Cool. All right, for NESN and the NECF CC